on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, a property of Learfield Sports.
Touchdown, Alabama!
Live from Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, this is Hey Coach, presented by Alpha. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Hey Coach is brought to you by Golden Flake, the official chip of the Crimson Tide. Your Alabama Ford dealers. Alabama Saturdays, built Ford tough. Bud Light, the perfect beer when you're up for whatever. And by Coke Zero, real Coke taste, 0 calories. Here is your host, Tom Roberts.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Roll Tide. Welcome to the number one Crimson Tide of the University of Alabama that we're going to talk about tonight. Yep, back to number one in the USA Today Coaches Poll. Of course, we're headed to an SEC showdown against number 11 Ole Miss in Oxford on Saturday afternoon. Coach Nick Saban will join us in about 30 minutes to talk about the game. Bama soccer is at home for the weekend after two huge SEC shutouts on the road at Tennessee and at Vanderbilt. We'll hook up with Todd Bramlett on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Hotline to talk about his SEC Defensive Player of the Week, Emily Rusk, and about home matches this weekend with South Carolina and Ole Miss. Alabama volleyball still just rolling along, now up to 9 straight wins. The Tide got a big one over LSU on Sunday afternoon, featuring for the second week in a row, Crystal Rivers as the SEC Offensive Player of the Week. Coach Ed Allen's going to join us on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Academy Sports Hotline as his team is on the road playing Kentucky and Tennessee. Of course, we invite those of you who are at home to join us. Give us a call at 877-202-BAMA. That's 877-202-2262. If you're here at Bob's Victory Grill, Jessica Weiger is hanging out right here in front of the stage, as a matter of fact. She'll be standing at the corner of the bar over here. If you want to ask the coach a question, by all means, come on up and join us. We got some good prizes, including that $50 gift certificate at University Mall. So a lot to do over the course of the next 90 minutes or so. We're going to start with Bama soccer. That's coming up next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Hey, Alabama fans, Academy Sports and Outdoors is the place to go when you need the gear to support your team. Academy is your one-stop shop for Crimson Tide jerseys, t-shirts, caps, novelty items, and more at everyday low prices. Be sure to visit your local Academy store or academy.com to stock up on Crimson Tide gear for the season. Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sponsor of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
The right stuff, the low price, every day. Academy.
Nothing means it's game day like ice cold Coke Zero, because zero means it's game day.
What about when...
No.
But you don't even know what I was going to say.
Were you going to say zero means it's game day, so therefore nothing means it's game day like Coke Zero?
No, but...
Then it doesn't matter, does it? The refreshing taste of Coke Zero. Zero means it's game day.
Hey, this is Coach Nick Saban. Like you, Coke Zero is a proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide. So when you're enjoying the game this season, feel free to crack open a Coke Zero and enjoy that too. Roll Tide.
Ready for this week's game? We're talking the rumbling roar of Big Al and another epic Roll Tide. But we're also talking great pizza. As a proud sponsor of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Red Baron Pizza is kicking off your game day at tailgateatyourplace.com. Score big with awesome party ideas, winning recipes, and impressive school trivia. Plus, a chance to win over $150,000 in prizes. Red Baron, Roll Tide.
Before you get in, get going, get gone, you need to get a tire that gets you. We suggest a Cooper tire. After all, Cooper engineers its tires not just for performance, but real-life performance. Because life's a road trip. Come on, let's go. Buy 4 qualifying Cooper tires and get up to a $70 prepaid card by mail. Visit a participating Cooper tire retailer or CooperTireRebates.com for reward forms and official terms and conditions.
on game day. Whether it's on the field or at the tailgate, the best rise to the top. Because when the Crimson Tide are driving to victory, there's no compromise. That's why Ford delivers available EcoBoost engine technology that offers a winning combination of power and efficiency. Just another reason why Ford is America's best-selling brand. Check out F-150, Fusion, Escape, and the all-new Expedition at your local Ford dealer. America's best-selling brand based on 2013 calendar year sales.
Welcome back to Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Alabama soccer enjoyed a great weekend on the road last Friday and Sunday. And joining us in the Academy Sports and Outdoors hotline right now, the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Todd Bramble. Coach, congratulations. Good weekend.
Thanks, Tom. Really enjoyed our trip up to Tennessee with our team, and really proud of how they performed.
Well, you should be. First of all, let's talk about Tennessee. It's you don't get many wins over the Volunteers. At least that's the track record for the program. And to get one in overtime, I would think your ladies were very, very excited.
It was a big night. Alabama had actually never won in Knoxville before, so we put that challenge out in front of the team before the game started to see if they would embrace that. And it was a really hard-fought game, but we had a great corner kick play at the end, and Maruska got in there and got her head on it, showed a lot of courage on the play, and got us the win.
Describe a little bit more of that winning goal in overtime. It started with Merrill Van Dongen, didn't it?
It did, and it came right off the kickoff. We played 2 10-minute periods of overtime, and we had already played the first 10 minutes, and then you get a little 2-minute break, and we drew up a play coming out of that break so that we could get the ball deep into their corner right off the kickoff and get some territory and try to get some momentum and put them on their heels. And from that is where we earned the corner kick, and Merrill then proceeded to drive a perfect ball across the face of the goal, and Maruska timed it perfectly. So it wasn't. It was like 10 or 15 seconds into the second overtime period where we ended the game.
And it's exactly what you expect from Van Dongen. She now has 6 assists on the season. That's best on the club. Then you go over to Vanderbilt on Sunday, and you've never beaten them back-to-back, but you did it this time.
Yeah, it's always really competitive games against Vanderbilt, and they've got a lot of attacking firepower, and so we were going to knew we'd have to have another really good night defensively, keep them off the scoreboard, and that's exactly what we got. Our whole group really was committed to the cause in defending. We got a great play from our back line and great play from Emily Rusk in goal, and it was a winning formula.
And again, Van Dongen with the assist on the winning goal.
Yeah, it was another corner kick from the same side. She's got a great left foot, and she just drives those balls in there with really deadly pace that makes it hard for the goalkeepers, and it's bending in, and it's just a dangerous ball, and anything can happen.
Well, thankfully it happened that you won both the games on the road, and you mentioned Emily Rusk. She earned SEC Defensive Player of the Week honors, had 11 saves in the 2 matches. She played great, but I think she'd be the first to say that her teammates helped out a heck of a lot.
Yeah, and what she's really doing for us now, she's just being really simple and really solid. And before the ball even gets to her, I think the thing that's helping us out the most is her communication right now is excellent, the way she's directing our team in front of her. And it's not just what she's saying, but how she's saying it with a lot of confidence, which instills a lot of confidence in the players in front of her. And then she hasn't had to make a ton of just spectacular saves. A lot of it has just been routine. And but when she has to make those saves, it's important that she doesn't give up rebounds or give the team any hope in any way. And she's just been solid, and that's really been good to see.
After 2 road wins, you finally get to come home, and let's talk about the matches this weekend, starting with South Carolina tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and the Gamecocks are, number 14 in the country, aren't they?
Yeah, the last RPI that just came out, they were 13 in that RPI. So this would be a significant win. It would have huge NCAA tournament implications if we could have this win to hang our hat on.
Well, it's a 7 o'clock match tomorrow night. Then on Sunday afternoon, Ole Miss comes to town, a 1 o'clock match. And I'd say you've got the recipe for another weekend sweep, don't you?
Well, it's 2 teams that are really, really going to be tough to play against, but they're really similar in their style of play and their system that they play, and there's not anything really unique that either team does that we have to prepare for in any special way. So it's been it's allowed us to really just focus on ourselves this week in training and just get ourselves as prepared as we possibly can be, without having to do any excessive preparation on specific details of our opponents. We can really just try to keep fine-tuning our game this week, and we know we'll be at home in front of our crowd that we love to play in front of. So we're excited to get it started this Friday night at 7.
Well, let's hope it'll be a good weekend, and I hope a lot of fans will be at the soccer stadium for it. But if not, you can keep up with it on RollTide.com through the Game Tracker program, and then it's on the SEC Digital Network. And I got to tell you, Todd, Mick Gillespie tomorrow night, Chris Stewart on Sunday afternoon do a nice job of play-by-play, but one of your former players, Molly Atherton, does a great job of analysis.
Yeah, we've been really pleased with the production of those digital broadcasts. Our folks, Crimson Tide Productions, are doing a great job of putting what is just a really professional product out there, and we've had a lot of fans compliment the talent that is doing those games for us from a play-by-play standpoint, and we're really proud of Molly to see her step into sort of unfamiliar territory and being in front of the camera, but she really seems comfortable in that role, and she's doing a great job, like you said.
Well, she certainly is. Well, Coach, congratulations again on the weekend sweep up in Tennessee, and go get 2 more this weekend at the Bama Soccer Stadium.
Sounds great, Tom. You guys have a safe trip over to Oxford, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you, too, as well. Todd Bramble, head coach of the Alabama soccer team, 7 o'clock tomorrow night against South Carolina, 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon against the Ole Miss Rebels. If you haven't heard about what our friends at Adobe are doing, you need to go to download the official Alabama Game Day app and get every digital football game day program free. It's easy. Just search for Alabama Game Day from your app store and update for each and every game. Download it now. It's the official Alabama Game Day app presented by Adobe DPS, your best way to mobilize the Tide. And by the way, our friends here at Bob's Victory Grill are set for a big event. Bob Baumhauer hosting the LA Gumbo Festival at the Wharf in Orange Beach this weekend. Each Gumbo Master is going to have the opportunity to fly their colors and compete to qualify for the Iron Bowl Tailgate Challenge. Visit Baumhauers.com or Bob'sVictoryGrill.com for more details about the LA Gumbo Festival Saturday at the Wharf in Orange Beach. We're going to talk Bama volleyball coming up next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
I'm in the car next to you on the highway. I sit in front of you on the bus. I'm 1 out of every 6 Americans, and I'm struggling with hunger. This isn't an uncontrollable epidemic. There's enough food in this country to feed every hungry person. Please, visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for those around you, quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Come on and clean up the mold. Whoa. Clean up the mold. Whoa. Mold can trigger asthma in kids young and old. Come on and clean up the mold. Whoa. Clean up the mold in your house. Whoa.
This song may be fun, but childhood asthma is not. Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as cleaning up the mold and mildew in your house. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink.
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
I didn't know the trees were so amazing. amazing.
Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb.
That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. The Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. Hottest team on campus right now, still the Alabama volleyball Crimson Tide. And joining us in the Academy Sports and Outdoors hotline, the head coach, Ed Allen. Ed, congratulations. Big one on Sunday over LSU, wasn't it?
Oh, terrific environment too, Tom.
You had a raucous crowd, I guess is the way to say it, at Foster Auditorium, and they were rewarded. I guess they helped you, but they saw a great volleyball match, didn't they?
No question, no question. We had the fourth set go 35-33, so we certainly wanted to give them reasons to come back and get their money's worth.
There's no doubt about that. 35-33, the highest scoring match of the season. I assume you've seen probably matches that have gone in higher scores than that, but it was so tense. You had so many lead changes and ties and chances to get match points.
Yeah.
Did it make you a bit nervous?
Well, I'm not sure about nervous because I really enjoy the competition of it, Tom. I mean, it's like going to Disneyland as far as I'm concerned. You know, anytime you can get two teams that are that close in ability playing at that high a level, it's just exciting stuff. And I think we had 7 match points ourselves, and they had 3 match points. And so the crowd certainly got entertained.
Well, you had so many who played well, obviously, but again, playing great all week long was Crystal Rivers, who for the second straight week won the SEC Offensive Player of the Week honors. And I saw some video of the LSU match, and she was absolutely crushing the ball.
Yeah, she is really starting to settle into that position a little bit, Tom. And I think, continuing to get healthier and, as the season kind of unfolds, I mean, we're expecting probably her to be even able to perform at even a higher level than that as we approach December.
That's amazing, and it was she and I guess Bruna Evangelista who got the block to actually win the match. Bruna had a good afternoon too, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. I mean, hits for a really high percentage. Really had some critical swings for us in a couple of rotations that we were struggling with, and really helped shoulder some of that offensive responsibility that's been placed on Crystal and Kat Hudson. And we were probably her best week, Tom. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, Brittany Thomas also had a great match, too. A double-double, her third of a season, 13 kills and 11 digs. She's hard to stop as well.
Yeah, she is. And, as we talked about before, such a workhorse. And, a kid that's being asked to do about 6 or 7 different things for us and doing all those things pretty well.
Well, you're having a great season, obviously, at 14-2. You've won 9 in a row, but you have a major challenge at number 14, Kentucky, tomorrow night, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it should be an exciting match. I mean, two teams, I think they're 12-2 and 2-0 in league play as well. I mean, two teams that are playing really well to this point in the season. And, I mean, I think clearly two teams that are in the top 4 of the league, too.
Well, I was going to ask about Tennessee on Sunday afternoon. The Vols are just 0-2 in the league. To me, that's a dangerous kind of team playing them on the road like that.
Yeah, no question. And, I mean, it's, as you know, Tennessee's a tough place to play because they support their teams very well, and they tend to play pretty well at home.
Well, I would assume you're going to be happy. I think you finally get home next weekend, don't you?
Yeah, the second match of next weekend, we travel to A&M on Friday and then come home and play South Carolina on Sunday, which, is kind of a tough split weekend because it's almost like you're on the road with having to travel in the front end of that. Even though you're playing at home on Sunday, it's like a travel weekend for you.
Well, Ed, good luck this weekend at Tennessee and Kentucky, and we'll look forward to maybe seeing you next week here at Bob's Victory Grill. Thanks for joining us.
You bet, Tom. Thank you.
Ed Allen, head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide volleyball team. You can keep up with those matches online this weekend as well by going to RollTide.com. Pays to be a Crimson Tide fan with Best Western of Alabama. Whether you're traveling for work or play, get up to 20% off rates and a chance to win a $100 travel card this fall. Visit bestwesternalabama.com/RollTide. Head coach Nick Saban joins us in about 10 minutes. We're going to talk about other sports at the University of Alabama coming up next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Insurance is simply being prepared.
Security.
To cover the what ifs. I'm there to help protect my families.
You want to protect everything you've worked for.
The people that I deal with purchase insurance because they love somebody.
Because I think of insurance as being a promise.
That I'm going to be there when you need me.
I'm giving them a promise that if they have a loss, I'm going to be there.
That's the Alpha way. That's what we do.
For the best agents in the business, call Alpha.
Once in a while, a player comes along and completely changes the game.
Unbelievable catch!
It's no different when it comes to a truck. A truck that doesn't just change the game, but dominates it. The unrivaled Toyota Tundra. Now get 0% APR for 36 months on the new 2014 Toyota Tundra. Toyota, let's go places. Offer valid October 1st through November 3rd, 2014. $0 down approved credit. Monthly payment $41,000. Finance is $27.78. Excludes tax, tag, registration, title, and dealer fees. Cannot combine with other offers.
Do game day right. With LG, it's all possible. LG home appliances are right in step with your busy world. The largest capacity washer in its class saves you up to 20 minutes per load, even on larger loads. LG's door-and-door refrigerators offer instant access to gotta-have snacks. And with LG Easy Clean, you've got a sparkling oven in minutes. Come check out the latest in LG innovations at your local Best Buy or online at bestbuy.com/LG.
4 years ago, the national economy was draining hope from Alabama. Over 9% unemployment with no business growth.
There is never freedom for the breadwinner who is dependent on the government.
Governor Bentley focused on creating jobs.
We will put Alabama back to work.
Airbus has announced the opening of a new assembly plant.
Remington is announcing plans to open a large new plant in Alabama.
This is becoming standard fare, another major company announcing a move to Alabama.
Since Governor Bentley first took office, 40,000 jobs have been created. 60,000 more jobs are on their way. Unemployment is down over 20%, and the Business Confidence and Hiring Index is the highest since 2006. But the real credit goes to the hard-working men and women of Alabama.
When Alabama is at full employment, it will mean that along with a job, we have restored hope and purpose to thousands of fellow citizens.
Governor Bentley, working for Alabama. Paid for by Bentley for Governor, P.O. Box 5047, Montgomery, Alabama, 36103.
You're back on Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Let's take a look at our Cooper Tire performances of the week, presented by Cooper Tires. Life's a road trip. Come on, let's go. Visit CooperTire.com to find your local Cooper Tires dealer. And our performances of the week are two that we've already talked about a little bit. The SEC Players of the Week. First of all, in volleyball, Crystal Rivers winning her second straight SEC weekly honor. Averaged 6 kills per set last week with 2 double-doubles. And the SEC Defensive Player of the Week in soccer was the Crimson Tide's Emily Rusk. 11 saves and 2 shutouts over Tennessee and the Vanderbilt Commodores last week for the Crimson Tide. Now, time for Crimson Tide Tailgate Tradition, brought to you by Red Baron Pizza. And this week, let's take a look at some of our Bama players in the NFL. Trent Richardson of the Colts plunged into the end zone on a quick strike drive midway through the first quarter for the first score in a 41-17 win over the Tennessee Titans. He big weapon out of the backfield as well. He ranks 8th among NFL running backs in receiving yards with 122. Eddie Lacy scored out of a no-huddle set for the Green Bay Packers. He's having a great season. His teammate, Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix, prevented a touchdown in the second quarter, but making a goal line stop as time expired. C.J. Mosley, the strongest game of his rookie season in the Ravens win over the Carolina Panthers, had 11 total tackles, 7 of them solo, broke up a pair of passes. And, of course, Julio Jones just continues to have an incredible year, caught 6 passes for 82 yards, continues to rank among the league leaders in every receiving category for the Falcons. And notable defensive performances came from the Chargers' Jarrett Johnson. He had 5 tackles and a forced fumble. And from Rolando McClain, forced a fumble and added a pair of solo tackles. This Crimson Tide Tailgate Tradition brought to you by Red Baron Pizza. Visit tailgateatyourplace.com for great game day ideas and enter for a chance to win $150,000 in prizes from Red Baron. We're going to talk to our media guest for the week coming up next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Toyota Materials Handling of Alabama is the authorized dealer for Toyota forklifts, the world's #1 forklift manufacturer right here in the USA. Toyota Materials Handling has short and long-term rentals available ranging from 3,000 to 36,000 pounds, and they provide parts and service for any model forklift. Ask Toyota Materials Handling about their no hidden fees guarantee and service loaner program. Call Toyota Materials Handling of Alabama today and speak with their consultants. Call toll-free 866-957-2250 or go online to toyotamaterials.com.
Tide fans, make University Mall part of your football weekend game plan. Avoid the campus traffic. Take the Tuscaloosa Charter Tide Ride from University Mall to Bryant-Denny and back for just $10. While you're here, enjoy great shopping, dining, the area's best selection of Bama fan gear, and special Crimson weekend savings. We're West Alabama's in-place to shop for over 30 years. That's University Mall. Roll Tide.
The Tide will be rolling soon, but if you haven't gotten your Bama Banking Visa check card, you're not really ready for kickoff. Bama Banking, exclusively from BBVA Compass, is the perfect way to show your pride in the Tide. Call 1-800-COMPASS or go online at bbvacompass.com/Bama. Bama builds champions. At BBVA Compass, you can be a champion too by sporting one of our limited edition Bama Banking check cards. Sign up for Bama Banking and show your pride every time you use your check card. Call 1-800-COMPASS or go online at bbvacompass.com/Bama.
Hey, bartender, 2 Coors Lights.
You got it. I need 2 Coors Lights.
Sure thing.
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility. Cold hard fact. When it comes to Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light, remember, 21 means 21. Coors Light reminds you, with great beer comes great responsibility.
Welcome back to Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa and to Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. Head coach Nick Saban will be joining us in just a few minutes. Our media guest for the week from the Alabama Media Group, Andrew Gribble. Andrew, that means you're reporting for how many newspapers now?
3 newspapers and a website, so it's all kind of condensed into one big organization we've got.
To me, that's what's amazing about the newspaper business. You don't have a 10 o'clock deadline or a 2 o'clock deadline. Every hour is a deadline, isn't it?
Yeah, my deadline is as soon as possible, no matter what time of day it is, and that's just the world we lived in, the one I've been covering college football in for the last few years now.
And if you're covering college football in the southeast of this week, you want to be in the state of Mississippi. I don't ever remember 2 as big a games as we're going to have over in the Magnolia State this weekend.
No kidding. I mean, to have these 2 games somewhat even overshadowing another good game, Auburn and LSU down at the end of the day. But, I think people weren't really too surprised that both Ole Miss and Alabama were undefeated, but I think it's a bigger surprise what Mississippi State's been able to do and how they've looked doing it, I think, is what maybe is most impressive at this point.
And, of course, they're having to take on Texas A&M, which maybe shocked everybody the first weekend of the season by whipping South Carolina. So it makes for an incredible weekend.
Yeah, the offensive firepower in that Texas A&M Mississippi State game should be something to behold. I mean, Kenny Hill just keeps playing better and better and has really made people forget about Johnny Manziel already.
Well, all right, we're going to talk about Bama and Ole Miss as the head coach will join us shortly. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Our first call every week brought to you by Alabama 811. Before you replace a mailbox or install a fence, know what's below by calling 811. Utility companies will come out, locate and mark buried lines so you'll know where to dig and dig carefully. Call 811. This is the Nick Saban Show from Learfield Sports.
Chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
I know.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Okay, kids, who remembers where we're all going to meet in case of an emergency?
Grand Central Station.
Times Square. Higher ground.
Where's that?
The mountain, son.
But we live in the city.
Good point.
What about supplies?
Your mom has all those canned beets somewhere in the apartment.
What about water?
We have a few gallons stored in the basement.
We don't have a basement.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent, 1 in 260,000. The odds of him having 15 career NASCAR victories, 1 in 1.7 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. It's kind of like an elephant is on my chest. I feel like I'm choking. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Live from Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, this is the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Also brought to you by Golden Flake, the official chip of the Crimson Tide. Your Alabama Ford dealers. Alabama Saturdays. Built Ford tough. Bud Light, the perfect beer when you're up for whatever. And by Coke Zero. Real Coke taste, 0 calories. Now, with Coach Nick Saban, here's Tom Roberts.
Thank you very much. Head coach headed our way. Andrew Gribble from the Alabama Media Group on stage with us. And Andrew, to me this weekend in Oxford, I guess they're calling it a game of the century. Might be the first time the Rebels have been in one of those, but it seems like Alabama plays one of those every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of reminding me a lot of last year, Alabama's trip to Texas A&M, just how big of a build-up that was. That was a full off-season's worth of build-up. This has been kind of simmering now for the last few weeks, and even affected Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze acknowledged that they were thinking about Alabama maybe a little bit too early when they played Memphis this past week.
That's, to me, a lot of folks watched the Ole Miss-Memphis game and said, oh, what do we got to worry about? But I think that's exactly what they did. They looked ahead.
No, and the thing that's impressive mostly about Ole Miss right now is the defense. And I think that even though their competition maybe hasn't been the best out there through the first 4 weeks, just the way they're flying to the ball, the talent at every sector of the defense, I think that's the biggest challenge Alabama's going to face so far is what their offense versus Ole Miss's defense.
Well, you know, and Coach Saban on Monday commented about the speed on that defense. To me, I'm like you, that's where they've made the biggest impression with all the talent. And they've had 2 or 3 great recruiting years back to back. They've got the talent there now.
Yeah, you know, the Kandiche brothers are the guys that really stand out, especially Robert on the defensive line. But then the secondary, I think when you see those guys fly around, it seems like you look around the entire SEC, it seems like everyone's struggling in the secondary except Ole Miss. You know, they've really got things kind of put together well with a lot of good recruits, a lot of young talent, and they've really kind of shut things down in the passing game.
Well, these are 2 of the best defenses in the SEC because Alabama's right there with or ahead of the Rebels, it seems like, in every statistical category. And that means, I would think, that Kirby Smart and Nick Saban will try and get into the head of Bo Wallace on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, that's maybe a weakness that Alabama might be able to exploit is that offensive line of Ole Miss. It seems like he's been getting rushed a little bit, and if they can generate enough pressure with that 3 or 4 man front, that makes life easier for the secondary and the linebackers and helps them do their job a lot better.
I was going to ask Coach, and he'll be here shortly, but I would assume, seen a little bit of practice every day this week. I would think that things have ratcheted up a little bit by this being the first road game.
Yeah, they had the bye week there for a little bit where you're really working on fundamentals, but once the end of the week hit, then kind of the Ole Miss game coming kind of became real. And the things we see every day is the ball security drills. They want more fumbles, want more interceptions, and they're working on that from both ends, both getting better as an offense, protecting the football, and getting better as a defense at stripping those fumbles.
Let's talk about the Alabama offense a little bit more. Blake Sims has had an incredible season. Did you suspect in watching fall drills that we'd see this out of Blake?
Well, I think that the spring game was always a misrepresentation of kind of where Blake Sims had stood and improved. But I think I'd be wrong. I think he surprised a lot of people, and I think that he surprised the entire nation. But he keeps getting better every week, and really, the Florida game was where he really proved it and put it out there.
Well, the applause in the background should tell you that the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, is joining us live here at Bob's Victory Grill in T-Town as the head coach settles into our stage, puts on his headset. Coach, glad to have you with us, and I'll ask you the same thing I just talked about with Andrew. Have you noticed things kind of ratcheting up this week with that first big road game coming up?
Well, I think every game is important. I think last week or the last 2 weeks ago when we played Florida was, definitely a big game. And I think with the competition the way it is in our division, every game is a big game. And Ole Miss certainly has an outstanding team. You always get a little bit concerned how your team's going to respond the first time you play on the road. One of the reasons that we like to play in a neutral site game early in the year that is very helpful to at least playing away from Bryant-Denny, even though it's not, a hostile environment that you usually play in because it's a split crowd. But, we've had good practice and good preparation, and I think the players are mentally ready to go. And obviously this is a big game, but, when we sit here next week, we'll be talking about what a big game that is too.
We're at that point in the schedule where everyone's a big one. Andrew Gribble covering it for the Alabama Media Group. Andrew, you got a question for the coach?
Yeah, you touched on a little bit with the kind of the hostile road environment. Last year when you guys went to Texas A&M, kind of a similar big build-up to the game. Texas A&M comes out with an emotional wave, kind of a quick start. What's the key for the players in kind of overcoming that kind of emotional beginning to a game like that?
I think it starts with the whole mindset that you have in terms of you being able to control what you do. Nobody really knows what the future is going to be, whether it's going to be good or bad, but you have to believe that what you do, your actions, really have something to do with affecting the future and your future in terms of what you do. So, it's going to be important for everybody to play our game, and that starts with how you execute every play in the game. And just like the Florida game, our lack of execution, turning the ball over, a couple penalties, more than a couple, really kept them in the game for 3/4 of the game, even though in a lot of ways statistically you could say, well, we dominated the game, but we kept them in the game by making these mistakes, which came from a lack of execution. So the devil's in the details in terms of being able to execute. So maintaining your discipline to play smart and be able to play your game on the road when everybody there, the fans, their players, everybody's trying to take you out of your game, all right, so that you can't do that. So that is the most important thing. The second thing is you just don't show up at the game and all that happens. It happens through good preparation, which means how you practiced all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the mindset that you have, and also understanding that you can't worry about all the clutter. You can't worry about all the external factors. You got to focus on what you have to do. That's the way you're going to be able to overcome adversity. And you're going to have to play through something and keep executing. And if things go wrong, you're just going to have to keep playing. So all this stuff comes from mindset. And, you should be focused on the ball. If I'm playing receiver, I should be focused on the ball. I shouldn't be thinking about how many passes I'm catching or how many passes I caught already or whether I didn't catch any or I missed the last one. That's not going to help us. You have to look forward, what's happening next. And it has to be, your focus has to be on what you need to do so that you can play your best. Discipline to execute, good preparation, and then are you going to be able to overcome adversity by staying focused on the things and be able to play through some difficulties, because there's going to be some, no doubt.
All right, Andrew, if you feel like jumping in, just shout. We'll get you on the air. Right now, let's go to the folks who are in the best seat in the house. We have Robbie Harris from Childersburg, Andrew Persich, our first guest ever from Lickskillet, Alabama, Ben Humphreys from Jasper, and the question from the table, Jeremy Graves from Jasper. Jeremy?
How you doing, Coach?
Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. When you took over at Toledo, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced from going from an assistant coach to a head coach? Thank you. Roll Tide.
Well, I think that, having conviction in what your program what you want your program to be. And I think it was not a difficult transition for me because I had the opportunity to be in some really good programs, especially at Michigan State, working for George Perlis, going there when we started the program back in 1983 or 2 or whenever it was, and got to see us build it from ground up. I'm talking about personal development programs, academic support program, off-season program, the kind of players that we wanted to recruit, the system that we used in recruiting, all these things. So, and we had success there. And in 1987, we won the Big Ten championship and all that. So that's really kind of how I sort of always modeled, our program. And a lot of it I had input in, and it really came from Don James and the other programs that I'd been in when I coached at Ohio State and places like that. So that's really what I believed in. So the transition is always, if you were a defensive coordinator, you still want to be the defensive coordinator. If you're the offensive coordinator, you still want to call the plays. Well, I kind of accepted that. But there's a lot of defensive coordinators that have always wanted to call plays. So when they become a head coach, they go be an offensive coordinator, which they know nothing about. All right, and that's the disaster. All right, so what I try to do and what I've done for all the years is contribute to what I have experience in, which is basically defense and special teams. I never forget this story, and maybe I've told it before, maybe you've heard it before, but when I was coaching at the Cleveland Browns, Buddy Ryan, who a lot of you know, Rex's dad, was one of the best defensive coordinators at Chicago Bears. They won the Super Bowl. They were absolute best, 46 defense. Everybody's heard about it. He became the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals after they had all this success in Chicago. This was in the early 90s. And he was not successful as a head coach, and we were playing him in Cleveland late in the season, and the rumor was he was going to get fired. And I talked to him, and I said, because I used to visit him when he was at Bears all the time as a coordinator, I said, Buddy, what's the biggest difference between being an assistant and being a head coach? And he said, when I was an assistant, I was always somebody's best assistant because I worked to do a really good job, like on defense. And he said, when I became a head coach, I wasn't my best assistant because I went and did all the other stuff, and I didn't keep having the input on the defense that I always had. So I lost all the experience of everything that I gained. So I wasn't my best assistant, and that's probably why I failed. So, look, we have some great assistants. But after that story, my theory has always been don't go put your nose in some place that you don't know anything about. Make the best contribution that you can, but where you have all the experience, that's where you should have the input.
Yeah, put your nose in there. All right, we always have an Alabama 811 first caller, and we always know who it's going to be. Pee Wee from Grand Bay joins us. Roll Tide, Pee Wee. How you doing?
Doing good. Coach Saban, how are you, sir?
Doing good, Pee Wee. What's going on, man?
Getting ready to preparing to play a game Saturday, Coach.
You've been practicing. You say you're preparing. Does that mean you've been out in the yard practicing?
No, not quite like that, but anyhow,
just getting mentally ready, right?
Sir, I didn't catch that.
I said just getting mentally ready.
That's right, correct. We're playing a team this week that probably is going to be the best team that we've faced to the day so far. They come in ranked third in the nation in scoring defense and first in the nation in pass efficiency. My question is, what are some of the things that they do on defense that we as an offense must be able to recognize from the line of scrimmage in order to be successful this week?
Right. Well, I think, the big thing that first of all, these guys have really good players. They've got 9 starters back on defense. If you remember last year's game, we struggled, up front. And the big thing we struggled with is their quickness. They have a lot of quickness up front. They angle and slant a lot. They have 5-man pressures that they use, and they're very effective doing it. All right, but the big thing is can you block their movements up front? All right, because, in the game last year, everything was sort of, I call it big little. We'd have no gain, -1, +1, and then we'd hit a long run. And because there was inconsistencies in our ability to, block their movements up front. And when we did, sometimes we made explosive plays, but when we didn't, they made negative plays against us. So That's one of the key things. But they have good linebackers. They have good players in the secondary. They're very experienced. They know their scheme well. They don't make very many mistakes. So, we're going to have to play really well on offense. But I think the key of the drill is can't have negative plays. You can't have negative plays. And when you get opportunities to make explosive plays, we're going to have to make them. But we can't get behind in the down and distance because that plays right into their hands.
All right, Nick Saban's with us. We've got a lot more questions for the coach coming up, including at 877-202-BAMA, and Jessica Weiger is standing over here if some of you folks here at Bob's Victory Grill want to ask a question. We'll be back with the coach in a moment. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Hey, Tide fans, when you're getting ready for this week's game, stock up on Golden Flake. Pick up your favorite bag of Golden Flake potato chips, Tostados, or cheese puffs, and you'll be ready to tailgate like a true Tide fan. Golden Flake, the favorite chip of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
The best choice you can make is a big bag of Golden Flake.
Once in a while, a player comes along and completely changes the game.
Unbelievable catch!
It's no different when it comes to a truck. A truck that doesn't just change the game, but dominates it. The unrivaled Toyota Tundra. Now get 0% APR for 36 months on the new 2014 Toyota Tundra. Toyota, let's go places. Offer valid October 1st through November 3rd, 2014. $0 approved credit. Monthly payment for $41,000. Finance is $27.78. Excludes tax, tag, registration, title, and dealer fees. Cannot combine with other offers.
Game day brings out the best in all of us. Leadership, teamwork, tradition, spirit. These are the things we love about college athletics. They're also the values that drive the associates at Regions Bank to bring you the products, advice, and financial guidance you need to move life forward. Because at Regions, every day is game day. Regions, official bank of the SEC. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Bud Light and NFL fans, this is the legend of Gail Hammerschmidt, who once tailgated 34 straight games, even grilling out in torrential downpours, and who could run a 4.440 to the mini fridge for an ice-cold Bud Light. But there are many legends like Gail, and Bud Light's rewarding them with experiences like an ultimate NFL weekend. Bud Light, the perfect beer for whatever happens.
Ultimate NFL experience open to U.S. residents 21 plus. No purchase necessary. Ends 12/31/14. See upforwhatever.com for details. Void where prohibited. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer. AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Vogler, the tight end, in motion to the left. Here's Sims to throw. With protection, wide open, right side. It is caught by Alabama's Kenyon Drake at the 40. He beats everybody down the right sideline. He's going to go 87 yards. Touchdown, Alabama, on the first offensive snap for the Crimson Tide today. Bango!
One of the reasons why the Crimson Tide is undefeated, number one in the country, and scoring 42 points a game. Welcome back to the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. We're live at Bob's Victory Grill here in Tuscaloosa. Andrew Gribble, our media guest for the week. Were you as surprised as the rest of us with that first play big strike against the Gators?
Well, I think I was surprised on who it ended up going to. Yeah. I think because Alabama seems to, these last few games, they've had a lot of success on that first play of the game, and whether it's a short screen to Amari Cooper or someone else, it seems like there's something always dialed up to maybe exploit a weakness they've seen throughout the week.
Well, and there are so many weapons that Lane Kiffin has at his disposal on the offensive side of the ball. But to me, that's one of the things that seems like he's done a great job of this year, is using all of them.
Yeah, and I still always get questions every week. Why isn't this guy getting the ball more?
Oh, yeah.
Why isn't that guy getting the ball more? But, it's hard to kind of share the wealth. But it seems like even these last few weeks, O.J. Howard's getting more involved in the offense. Kenyon Drake's getting more involved after maybe a slower start. So it eventually works itself out.
Yeah, it eventually does over the course of the season. Coach Nick Saban rejoining us here on the stage at Bob's Victory Grill. And by the way, Bob Baumhauer wants us to remind you the big L.A. Gumbo Festival this weekend, this Saturday at the Wharf in Orange Beach. Andrew, another question for the coach.
Yeah, speaking of receivers, just wanted to ask about DeAndre White. I know when he's been in the game, it seems like he's had an impact and taken off the load a little bit off of Amari Cooper. Just how is he coming back, and what kind of impact does he have when he's in there?
Well, DeAndre White has played extremely well for us when he's played. He played about half the West Virginia game and had 6 catches, and then he came back in a Florida game and was active in the game and made some plays. But he's been a little unlucky when it comes to, the injuries. So he got his shoulder in the West Virginia game and got a little bit of a sprained toe, in the Florida game. So he has practiced some, and I think he will be available to play. I just don't know how much he'll be able to play in the game. So we're hoping to spot play him, but it'll probably be a decision that we make in pregame and depending on how he's moving around.
Bunch of fans here at Bob's Victory Grill, including one who's standing next to Jessica Weiger, who has a question. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Hey, Coach. Gary Williams from Tuscaloosa.
Hey, Jerry. How are you?
I'm fine. Real tired. My question is, how does Bo Wallace, being a quarterback, compare to other quarterbacks with no huddle offense?
Well, not to compare, but just to tell you a little bit about Bo, he does a really, really good job. This is his third year starting. He's a very competitive guy and really understands, their whole offensive system and scheme because of the knowledge and experience that he has. And he's accurate throwing the ball. He has a strong arm. He can throw it down the field. They run a lot of play-action passes that are very difficult to defend. And I think he has better skill guys, around him. They've got a really good tight end. Treadwell's a really good receiver. They've got a couple other guys that are really good receivers. So he does a really good job, and they have been very, very effective making explosive plays in the passing game. I think people have basically played them to stop the run, and he has been able to take advantage of that by making a lot of big plays. He hasn't run the ball quite as much this year. Maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. But they do have a lot of quarterback runs in their offense. And in the past, he's been very effective in being able to do that. He's a big, strong guy, and he's tough, and he's been very effective at doing that. So he's a really, really good all-around player.
Bo Wallace averaging 318 yards passing per game. Let's go to the Academy Sports and Outdoors Hotline, and we go to Valley, Alabama, where Donald joins us. Roll Tide, Donald, how are you?
I'm good. Hello, Coach. Roll Tide.
Hey, Donald. How are you?
I'm good. I want to make a short comment, and then I want to ask you a question. The comment is, I think you've had some good offensive coordinators, but I think Lane Kiffin has been the best since you've been at Alabama. And everybody around here are real pleased with that. Now, the question is, when you win a night... Okay.
Donald.
Yeah.
Y'all ready to run me out of town on a rail when I brought the guy here. I had everybody in the SEC. I had everybody in the athletic department. Everybody sending me emails about why would you hire that guy?
Well, hey, look.
Did you send one? You just have to.
No,
did you send one?
Sir. My son came to me and told me, he said, Daddy, this is the best hire Nick Saban has made as offensive coordinator since he's been at Alabama. And those people that done the bad talking didn't see what he done at Tennessee with Crumpton. Made an All-American out of him.
Well, he has done a really, really good job for us. He really has. He's done a nice job with our players. He's a good teacher. Systematically, I think we're sound, and he does a great job of preparing the players, and hopefully we can continue to play well on offense. But go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, I want to. When you win the national championship, does every player on your roster get a ring, or just the ones that's on scholarship?
No, everybody on the roster, gets a ring. Everybody that participated in, on our team, and we usually have, between 120 and 130 guys on our team, and they all have a role, and they all contribute. The guys that probably don't get the same self-gratification and adulation from fans and the newspaper and the media are the guys that practice on the scout team every week and play their games on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and helping the players who do play in the game get ready to play in the game. And that's the players that are on the scout team that a lot of them are walk-ons. Some of them are scholarship guys that don't get to play much or are getting redshirted. So, those guys are very, very important, to the program and the success of the program, and are very, very much appreciated, I think, by not only myself and our coaches, but also, by our players.
Our first question tonight from the Nick Saban Show blog on AL.com. Blake in Huntsville says we've seen 4 different cornerbacks start games this year. Are you getting closer to deciding on your top 2, or is the competition still ongoing?
We've had 4 different quarterbacks start.
Cornerbacks.
Cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Well, some of that hadn't been by choice.
Right.
Guys get hurt, you got to play somebody else. Guys coming off of being hurt and he's not ready to play yet, you got to play somebody else. I think Eddie Jackson, if he can get back to being 100%, is really a good player. That would be helpful. If we can get healthy and play, and he's practiced better during this bye week and better this week. But Tony Brown has made good progress and, played pretty well against Florida. And we want to continue to have him develop. And Cyrus, has been probably the most consistent player, to this point and has played all the time. So I would say those three guys are the guys that, play the most. Now, Maurice Smith could play corner, but we've been playing him at star, so Gino can play safety. So, we just got to try to get our best guys out there on the field.
It's a work in progress still, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, a big fan here at Bob's Victory Grill wants to ask a question. Lee, go ahead.
Yes, Coach. With the Michigan situation going on, with the possible concussion, how does Alabama evaluate a situation like that?
Well, first of all, I like to say this, that I don't think there's any coach in the country, including Brady Hoke, that would ever leave a player in the game that they felt was hurt or safety was at risk relative to, now, whether he didn't know it happened or whatever. All right, so they can criticize the guy for not winning enough games, and if they want to fire him, they ought to fire him because he doesn't win enough games. But they shouldn't make this an issue because there's no coach in the country from a professional standpoint, I'm talking about assistant or head coach, that would ever put a player in jeopardy if they thought they were injured or weren't able to perform relative to. But we do have a very good protocol, and I think that our medical staff here is one of the best in the country. It starts out with Dr. Kane and Dr. Andrews, being our team doctors. They're always on the sidelines. They evaluate every player, all right? And we never make a decision as coaches as to whether a player plays or does not play. Our medical staff makes every one of those decisions. And when it comes to concussions, they also make the decisions because we have all these tests that we can give now that we call a concussion score, that we have a baseline on every player that plays on our team. So if they ever get a concussion of any kind or even a concussive hit, we give them a test, and until they get back to their baseline, which may take 3 days, it may take a week, it may take 10 days, we do not allow them to practice and we don't allow them to play. And until they get to a certain level, we won't even let them have activity. All right, so we have a very good protocol in place. And I think, we talk a lot about concussions. All right, but when I played, I remember I got knocked out when we were playing at Louisville, and Lee Corso was the head coach there. This was, I was a junior or senior in college, and I got knocked out. And as soon as you could count to three, man, you were back in the game. All right? It's not like that anymore. And I think that was probably not safe, all right, and probably not smart. But, now we have so much better technology. Better protection to start with, and better technology as to when a player can come back. All right, so we never put a player in harm's way in terms of any injury. It's always a medical staff's decision as to when a player can practice, how much he can practice, what he can do in practice, and when he's available to play.
All right, Lee, thanks for the question. We got more questions coming up for the coach, but we are at the half hour. Do game day right with the latest innovations from LG. From the kitchen to the living room, LG has you covered. Come check out the latest in LG innovations at your local Best Buy or online at bestbuy.com/LG. It's all possible with LG. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Think it's only a game? You win some, lose some. Just give the old college try. Not around here. Because in Tuscaloosa, winning on the field and the work site isn't everything. It's the only thing. Alabama and the 2014 Ford F-150. This team, this truck will make a believer out of you. For great offers on a new F-150, go to shopfordnow.com or see your local Ford dealer today.
You're listening to Guy Talk, live from the Sport Clips Haircuts locker room. Caller, you're on the air.
My girlfriend beat me playing one-on-one.
Ooh, sounds like you need to hit up a Sport Clips for an awesome haircut experience and some quality man time.
I don't know. My girlfriend always takes me to her salon.
Nonsense. Be your own man and get a great haircut in a guy-friendly place from stylists who know what guys need.
You may be right.
Sure, I'm right. Now grab your Y chromosome, get down to Sport Clips, and ask for the MVP. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Looking for the ultimate tire for your performance luxury touring vehicle? Look no further than the new Ventus S1 Noble 2 from Hankook Tire. Packed with the latest design and compounding elements focused on maximizing efficient water evacuation, providing impressive wet handling and braking, increasing cornering grip, and improving winter condition traction. The Ventus S1 Noble 2 is the ideal balance of all-season and ultra-high performance. To see more of the Ventus S1 Noble 2, visit Tires for Less Incorporated in Coleman. Be one with it. Hankook Tires.
Be the hero of your tailgate this season. Go to eatatjacks.com to place your order for the ultimate fan fuel. Get your team ready for the big game with Jack's delicious hand-breaded chicken fingers, fried chicken, sides, biscuits, and more. Jack's now a proud partner of the Crimson Tide. Now let's talk about Sport Clips. You're a guy, and when you need a haircut, you need it right now. So come on in, because at Sport Clips, you never need an appointment. Visit any of our Alabama stores and ask for the MVP service. Sport Clips, it's good to be a guy.
You're back on Hey Coach. We're at Bob's Victory Grill, and right now let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Our friends at Total Sports Travel still have packages available for the upcoming Arkansas, Tennessee, and LSU away games. Arkansas trip includes same-day charter flight direct from Birmingham with a motor coach to the game. Tennessee and LSU trips feature 2-night hotel stays, plus motor coach and pregame party prior to the game. Book now online at TotalSportsTravel.com or call 1-888-367-8781.
TJ Yeldon, the running back. Two wides to the right. Dalston Fowler, the slot. Sims to throw. Loads up. Wide open. Middle of the field. Amari Cooper all alone. He's got it. Good night, nurse. 79 yards from that guy who can't throw the long ball.
Eli Gold with a call of a great pass from Blake Sims to Amari Cooper. Welcome back to the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. We're live at Bob's Victory Grill here at Midtown Village. And Andrew Gribble of the Alabama Media Group, our media guest for this evening. And I knew going into the season Amari Cooper was maybe going to have a great one, but my goodness, the numbers he's racked up so far.
Yeah, it just seems like he's always open, no matter the situation, no matter who's guarding him, no matter the formation. It just seems like he finds a way to get open, and then more importantly, what he's been able to do is he gets the ball and he does something pretty big when it's after the catch as well.
43 catches, 655 yards, averaging almost 11 yards a catch. And then just as sensational, Blake Sims for the season now, 1,091 yards, 71 of 97, 8 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. The interceptions, I mentioned Bo Wallace's numbers a few minutes ago, 6 interceptions on the season. To me, that's a huge factor in Saturday's game. Yeah. Who can commit the fewer mistakes?
Yeah, and it's something where Alabama kind of had a little streak going where they hadn't had an interception and they broke it against Florida. Kind of got maybe make it contagious. You know, you saw Landon Collins make a great play. Jabril Washington got the first one of the season for Alabama. So something where now that the streak of not having one is over, it seems like they could potentially pile up.
And by the way, the next person who asked a question here at Bob's Victory Grill, we've got one of those posters of Landon Collins, who's had an incredible season for the Crimson Tide, leading the team right now in tackles with 32. Coach Saban back on the stage. Andrew, you start the second half hour.
Yeah, Ole Miss kind of has a package on offense where they use again Liggins, the big player in the backfield. Is that something that's tough to prepare for, and have you had to use maybe an offensive lineman or defensive lineman to prepare for it in practice this week?
You know, not really. I mean, we just try to put a big guy back there that's a good running back, which this guy's a huge man who was a high school quarterback who was very talented, very highly recruited. We recruited him here. They've made him into a tight end, and they use him sort of as a wildcat guy on occasion. So, they have a lot of multiples of how they use their people. It's very difficult to prepare for all the things because you never know exactly what you're going to see. But I think our players have done a pretty good job of being able to execute the things that we're trying to do. It's just going to be a matter of, can we go in there and win on the line of scrimmage and do a good job of tackling, whether it's him, a big guy, or number 6 who's really fast and elusive on the perimeter. And I think that's going to be the key to the game.
Oxford fairly close by, so I'm sure we have a bunch of fans tonight here at Bob's Victory Grill who will head to Ole Miss tomorrow. Right now we've got a fan who's got the microphone ready to ask a question. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
I'm Joe Trawick right here from Tuscaloosa, Coach. How you doing?
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Ole Miss has done a pretty good job of being ranked higher in defense than they was last year. And how is that going to affect, us on the field this year?
Right. Well, I commented earlier about, their defense has 9 starters back. They had a good defensive team last year. They gave us a lot of problems last year. They have good players on defense. And I think they're going to, at the end of the year, you're going to look up and say they've got one of the best 2 or 3 defenses in our league and maybe in the country. And it's going to be a real challenge for us. We've got some good players on offense. We've got to be able to execute and get a hat on a hat and control the line of scrimmage and block their movements up front. And we're going to have to make some plays in the passing game. And, we're going to have to play extremely well. We did not play. You can say we didn't play very well last year, or they played really well against us, but we struggled last year in this game against them and their defense. So, it was 9-0 at halftime. We actually kicked the field goal with 2 seconds to go in half to make that. And we got a safety and had 2 fairly long runs for touchdowns in the second half. So I think this is something that you got to be patient with, and you got to take what the defense gives you. And when you have opportunities, you got to make them. I think that's the most important thing in playing against a team like this. You can't lose your poise. You got to keep sort of grinding, all right, and, take advantage when you have them.
877-202-BAMA is our phone number, and we go to the Academy Sports and Outdoors hotline to Cottondale, just down the road. Red's on the line. Roll Tide, Red.
Hey, doing well, Tom. I hope you're doing well.
Doing great.
Hey, Coach, I got a 2-part question, and I'll hang up and listen. The first part is, going back to the days when you were a kid and watching your daddy coach Pop Warner ball, did you ever express to your daddy that one day that you would like to become a head coach of a college program? And the second part is, did your daddy ever express to you that some days that he would like to become a head coach of a major college program? And I'll hang up and listen and roll tide, buddy.
Right. Red, right? Well, Red, I'm going to tell you a story now that I don't think I've ever said publicly. Terry knows this, and she's here, but I never wanted to be a coach. I never grew up wanting to be a coach. My dad had a service station, so I grew up like washing cars, greasing cars, being around cars. And when the new GTO came out, I thought that would be the ultimate that you could ever have a GTO. It was just the way it was. Cutlass 442. Some of the older folks here probably remember all these, but I just got to wash and wax them. I never got to drive them or own them or any of that kind of stuff. But as I grew up, I always thought that someday I would be like a businessman, because that's really what my dad was, even though he was a Pop Warner coach and he did a lot for the young people, and he coached Little League Baseball and American Legion Baseball and did all these things. I didn't see him as a professional coach. I saw him as more of a businessman. That ran a business. So that's kind of what I thought I'd be. And then actually when I went to college, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And Don James, Terry had another year of school. Don James, who was my college coach, who was wonderful coach, wonderful man, just passed away a year ago. Did a great job at Washington, one of the best coaches of all times. Doesn't get enough credit for all that he did and his accomplishments as a coach and as a person. But he asked me to be a graduate assistant. I didn't want to be a graduate assistant. I didn't want to go to graduate school. Terry had another year of school. I couldn't move away and take a job, so I stayed and went to graduate school, and I made a deal. I said, I'll write the papers. No, I would do the research. You write the papers, Terry, and I'll type them. I said, that's it. I can't take any more school. So that was the program. That was the program through graduate school. I did the research. She wrote the papers. I typed them. Hers and mine, both. All right, so that's how we did it. Terry doesn't think I should talk about this anymore. But anyway, you asked the question about my dad. You know, when I became a graduate assistant that year, I really liked being a coach. I liked being around the players. I liked the competitive part of it. The last conversation I had with my dad, which was 1 week before he had a heart attack and died, was he called every Saturday after a game. And he had it on Saturday of a game the next week. I told him, I said, Dad, this is finally what I want to do. I know this is what I want to do. That was the last conversation I had, and I told him what I wanted to do, and that was to be a coach. I don't think I ever told that story before.
No, you haven't. That's a good story all the way around. Another fan here at Bob's Victory Grill. Hand her the microphone. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Hey, Coach. I'm Jennifer. I'm from Montgomery. In this past bye week, did y'all train for just Ole Miss or for other teams as well?
Well, you know, the things that we do during a bye week is, number one, we want to focus on improvement. That's number one. So the way we do that is we do a little report on every individual in terms of what they need to do personally to get better. We do a quality control study of what every unit needs to do, whether it's the punt team or the offense or the defense or our third down, defense or whatever it is. And we say, okay, here's the things as a group we need to improve on and do better. And then we for a couple days, we take future opponents that we're going to play, like in the next 4 weeks, that do things differently than what we see in practice. And we actually practice a little bit against them. And then we do spend more time preparing for Ole Miss than we typically would a regular game, because we in this case, we actually spent 2 extra days.
All right, thanks for the question, Jennifer. Back to the Nick Saban Show blog at AL.com. Andy in Mobile says, before the season started, you said you were pleased with the unity this team had shown you. 4 games in, what do you think now?
Well, I've been pleased with the team chemistry that we have. We really have a good group of guys on our team. We don't have a lot of guys that are problem guys. We don't have a lot of energy vampires, as I call them, that you're meeting with guys every day trying to get them to do what they're supposed to do. This group of guys sort of buy in. They try to do the right things. They respond when you ask them to do things. And, the identity of this team is definitely not fully developed. I mean, that's something that you'll make a decision on at the end of the season in terms of, it's a sum total of what you do. All right, so they have an identity now, individually and collectively as a group. All right, but there's so much more that they can accomplish, and I think the most important thing is you got to look forward, and you got to make it about what you need to focus on to be able to do it, and guys can't be selfish about how it's affecting them. I heard an interesting story. One of my buddies went to this leadership seminar, and there was a bunch of people in there that were higher-ups in companies, and the guy said, how many of you want to be a CEO of the company? And they all work for the same company, and there were like 75 people raised their hand. And then the guy said, well, how many CEOs do you have?
Yeah.
And he said, 1. All right, well, are you still willing to do what you need to do to be the best employee you can be and to serve the company the best that you can serve the company, when there's only going to be 1 CEO and 74 others of you probably aren't ever going to be that? Can you do that? All right, well, we have the same kind of thing on our team. All right, we have a whole bunch of guys that have high goals and aspirations for what they want to do, how much they want to play, the kind of performance and production they want to have. And everybody can't be that, Not exactly right now. Some guys will develop into it. Some will get opportunities later on. And some have to be ready if their opportunity comes right now when they don't think it's going to come. So can you do that? Can you continue to progress and focus on doing the things you need to do to get better when your opportunity may not present itself right now and you may not get exactly what you want? That's the important thing, and that's what's going to help us be a successful team if we can successfully do that.
All right, we have a few more questions for the coach, but one final break. Let's take it right now. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
I'm John, a volunteer at United Way. I'm here at Lincoln Elementary School to find out what this place needs. Who knows better about what kids need than kids, right? Let's ask them.
Monsters! Lasers! A pool! Another guinea pig! More lasers! Sprinkles!
was thinking more spinach at lunchtime and maybe more exercise.
Nah. Lasers are cool.
When it comes to creating healthier communities, what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to UnitedWay.org, because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live united. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Cell phones?
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated.
The library. On Jones House. The bus stop.
And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Great. It sounds like we don't have a plan.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
So now, snapping it from the 32, pressure, here comes the screen to Henry, left side, he'll cut inside a block to the 20, down to the sidelines, 10, he's got a first down, he's still on his feet, he gets to the goal line, and he will be stopped about inches shy of the goal line.
Welcome back to the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. We have a few right here in front of us at Bob's Victory Grill in T-Town. We're getting you ready for the Crimson Tide's first road game in the SEC. That comes up Saturday afternoon in Oxford, Mississippi. Andrew Gribble, our media guest for this week. And Andrew, Oxford is one of those great places to play a college football game.
Yeah, just a great scene, and it's crazy that game day has not been there up until this weekend. You know, it's just maybe it just hasn't worked out right, but they get to go right in the middle of the Grove and kind of show the world a lot. A lot of people have, people grew up north like me. We didn't know about the Grove until we moved down here, so it's something that the whole country will get to see.
The Grove is something special. Coach Saban said a couple of weeks ago he wants to be able to retire one of these days and go tailgating. I recommend the Grove, Coach. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, well, the first place I'm going to go is right here.
I love it, all the way around. All right, Andrew, you got one more question for the coach.
Just kind of asking about Amari Cooper. It seems like he's getting more and more national attention, even more than he ever got. Is he a kind of guy that you really don't have to worry about that really affecting his game at all because he's kind of a matter-of-fact guy that stays focused on stuff?
Well, it's never been a problem for us. I mean, he doesn't seem to, he always practices really well. He's a hard worker. He's a good team guy. He's really quiet, really to himself, always responds to whatever you ask him to do. I don't know if he's ever said a cross word to any coach or anybody that I know of. I mean, the guys, and I've said this before, when the really good players on your team are good guys, it really makes it a lot easier to coach your team.
And he appears to be one of those great kids all the way around.
All the way around. Really, really fine person.
One final call from the Academy Sports and Outdoors hotline from Bessemer. Kevin joins us. Roll Tide, Kevin. How you doing?
Roll Tide, Tom. How you doing?
Doing great.
Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's so funny how you just mentioned you want to tailgate. Well, may I suggest that you are always welcome at the Sons of Saban tent.
All right.
Have you ever heard of the Sons of Saban?
No.
Well, I think Miss Terry's been by there once. I Miss Terry. If you don't mind me speaking to her, I don't want to intrude or anything.
Oh, you can talk to her all you want.
But I definitely want to suggest you when you have time, the Sons of Saban tent is always welcome to Coach Saban. I do want to say this. I am pleased with Lane Kiffin and what he's doing, but I want to say this. You was right. You took a beating on that. I mean, they really said you was desperate and you was this and you was that. And I want to just, say my stance on that is I didn't know about Lane Kiffin, but I knew about Coach Saban. I knew what you were about, and I knew you wouldn't take us in the wrong direction. So I just really wanted to tell you that too. I didn't know about Lane Kiffin. I'm pleased with what he's doing, but I definitely know about what you're doing, and you're doing a great job doing it. And one last quick thing, if you can, I know how this is our first road game, and I know how you like to, say the fans are a part of the team and how you like to see us there 2 hours right there when y'all first come in. Can you kind of elaborate on or get the fans going on the importance of us showing up right there 2 hours and the team seeing us as they come in and how that calms the team down? And I just want you to kind of elaborate on that and maybe light a fire on these people that's going out to Ole Miss. Roll Tide, Coach.
I think when we play on the road, one of the most calming things for us, for our players, for me personally, is, when we pull up to the stadium and we have this huge throng of several thousand people, maybe more sometimes, that are Alabama folks, it makes you feel like you're not at a hostile place. It makes you feel like you're not there alone. It makes you feel like you have lots of support. And I think that's very, very important when you play on the road. All of us have some insecurities about what we're doing, and especially in an early game on the road like this, and they've got a good team. They're going to be really excited about playing. I know our fans are really excited about playing and what our team can accomplish this year. I think the support that our fans give us, being there for us, and the enthusiasm that they show in the stadium is going to go a long way helping our players do one of the three things that I said was important: being able to stay focused, execute, and play through adversity. All right, because that's the way it's going to be. All right, and everybody's got to stay positive, and everybody's got to stay focused on the next play, and we got to keep playing and executing and have the discipline to do it, and the fans can help our players do that a lot by their support.
Andrew Ribble from the Alabama Media Group, thanks for joining us tonight.
Not a problem.
All right, hope you get to write a story of a Bama win on Saturday. Coach, the final word for you, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Well, I talked earlier about the things that I think are important in this game, and, our discipline to execute, eliminate the clutter. Doesn't matter what anybody else says. We affect our identity. We affect who we are. But we also do that as an organization, and all the people who help and support our program, which is always extremely positive and beneficial and has helped us build everything that we have here. Every game that we have is going to be a big game. This is a big game. It's a big game for us on the road, and it'll tell us a lot about the character of our team. And we're going to stay focused on what we have to do to make this team the best team that they can be. And they've always responded in a positive way. You've always responded in a positive way for them, and we need you to do that this week in Oxford.
All right, Coach. Thanks for being here. See you in Oxford.
All right, thank you.
Nick Saban joining us live here at Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. We're going to come back, wrap things up, talk a little bit more about that LA Gumbo Festival in a moment. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish, Dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I'm in almost every school bus and classroom. You see me around the neighborhood, and you tell me that I'm a pretty good kid. Well, I'm 1 out of every 5 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help. Every dollar you donate helps provide 8 meals for kids like me. We are Feeding America, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Nothing means it's game day like ice cold Coke Zero, because zero means it's game day.
What about when...
No.
But you don't even know what I was going to say.
Were you going to say zero means it's game day, so therefore nothing means it's game day like Coke Zero?
No, but...
Then it doesn't matter, does it? The refreshing taste of Coke Zero. Zero means it's game day.
Hey, this is Coach Nick Saban. Like you, Coke Zero is a proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide. So when you're enjoying the game this season, feel free to crack open a Coke Zero and enjoy that too. Roll Tide.
The Learfield Sports Directors Cup honors the nation's best overall collegiate athletic program in each division, men's and women's sports. The prestigious award continues its reign as the crowning achievement in college athletics, noting the remarkable efforts of student athletes and their institutions. To follow your favorite team, like us on Facebook. Find us in USA Today, online, and on Twitter at LS Directors Cup. Over 2 decades of excellence. The Learfield Sports Directors Cup.
Welcome back to Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, the Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. Told you a little earlier about the big doings at the Wharf in Orange Beach this weekend. It's the LA Gumbo Festival. Fierce competition from the best gumbo masters around to claim the best gumbo title. The winner, the master, will have the opportunity to fly his colors and compete to qualify for the Iron Bowl Tailgate Challenge that's going to be held this year in Tuscaloosa, the day of the Auburn game. For more information, go to baumhowers.com or bobsvictorygrill.com for more details about the challenge. And by the way, the challenge is going to be held at the Gumbo Festival this weekend. It'll kick up a notch when Alabama and Auburn tailgaters from all over the state submit their application to the committee to qualify for the showdown on November 29th at the Iron Bowl. And one other thing about this weekend at the big LA Gumbo Festival, all the Gumbo Festival guests are going to get a chance to win a pair of Bob's personal tickets to the Iron Bowl at the festival. So wear your colors and watch football on the huge monster screen with thousands of other football fans this weekend at the Wharf in Orange Beach. And by the way, Todd Robbins and Tyler Watts will be doing Around the SEC from Orange Beach this weekend, as well as the post-game party after what we hope is a win over the Ole Miss Rebels. Reminder about things going on this weekend here in Tuscaloosa. It's soccer. The Crimson Tide with 2 big home games taking on South Carolina, ranked number 14th in the country. Gamecocks will be here for a 7 o'clock match tomorrow night. Then the weekend will end on Sunday against the Ole Miss Rebels at 1 o'clock. Both games at the Alabama Soccer Complex. You can keep up with them on RollTide.com or by watching the SEC Digital Network. Again, 7 o'clock tomorrow night against South Carolina, 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon against the Ole Miss Rebels. That just about does it for us on this edition of Hey Coach and Nick Saban Show. Our thanks to Jerry and Jan in the studio, to Neil and all the staff here at Bob's Victory Grill, and to Tom Stipe, our producer-engineer on site. Hope you'll join us Saturday morning at 11:30, Bama and Ole Miss from Vaught-Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. Until Saturday morning, roll tide, everybody.
Live from Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, this has been Hey Coach, presented by Alpha. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Also brought to you by Coke Zero. Real Coke taste, 0 calories. Bud Light, the perfect beer when you're up for whatever. Your Alabama Ford dealers. Alabama Saturdays, built Ford tough. And by Golden Flake, the official chip of the Crimson Tide. The preceding has